Carlos, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Peace Day Live together. We've I don't know, sort of been supportive of each other's work for a long time, and it's fantastic to meet you face to face.
I'm a true fan. I admire a lot the work you're doing, and you're helping so many people with what you do. So thank you so much.
Right. So let's get into this. Let me ask you, could you tell us about your journey and how you've become the founder and CEO of World Innovation Alliance?
Well, thank you. It all started when I was around 18 years old. I realized how incredibly lucky I was, especially because I started working as an international editor on a newspaper and started seeing about war and terrorism and crime and all the problems that existed in the world. And I felt a sense of responsibility of something needs to be done. And I thought that I had the capacity to maybe be useful somehow. But I knew that at the time I didn't have the capacity, the experience, the contacts to actually do anything really valuable at a large scale. So I wanted to do some sort of global social impact project at some point, but I needed time. And for 15 years, I worked with large companies and institutions on a number of projects in communication and international relations. And I got to the point in 2017 when my father unfortunately passed away because of cancer, where I thought, okay, I'm never going to be ready to do that global social impact initiative, but I might as well already start because I don't know when I'm going to leave, but I want to be as useful as I can before I die, right? So I decided to start this global impact initiative. It was a lot of work in the beginning because I wanted to put together all the network that we had from companies, institutions, but also a network of experts that we had in already more than 150 countries. And after putting all of that together, what we're doing now is advising large organizations, international organizations and companies, trying to help them to maximize their social impact and try to prevent some of the world's biggest problems.
And so that's what the World Innovation Alliance is. You are supporting, advising, corporations, governments in relation to their journey.
Yeah, what we're doing is we're designing, curating, advising and advocating on specific solutions, so solutions that can be helpful to help with education, with economic development, with health and peace and security. So for example, I just came back from Colombia. We had the opportunity to advise the national police forces of 16 different countries on specifically how to tackle sexual exploitation, human trafficking, drug trafficking and other crimes using AI, for example. And there's other work that we do. There's, for example, in education, we do Skills for Growth, which is an initiative that we have used to train more than 100,000 people on skills that can help them to find economic development. Because if you have economic development, chances are that your situation is going to be much better. There's going to be much more stability and more peace. And other work that we do, preventing some of the risks of AI, and helping people leverage the technology that exists right now to try to solve some problems in the world.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I follow you on LinkedIn and I see everything that you do and everywhere that you go. I mean, it's really just amazing, man. And really good luck with, with all of the incredible work that you do. It's really making a real difference and a huge impact.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. So let me ask you, what does Peace Day, 21st of September, a day of ceasefire and non-violence, mean to you? And how do you practically use it and will be using it in the future?
Well, first of all, it is an incredibly important day, and I'm so thankful for the contributions that you have done in this incredible day. What I would say is every day should be a Peace Day, and if we don't have peace and stability, nothing else works. So health doesn't work, economic development doesn't work, so nothing actually functions. And it should be our priority constantly, and that means that it should be our priority in our education systems, it should be our priority in our political agendas, and it's not. And if we cannot talk about it every day, and if we cannot foster actual action from individuals or organizations every day, at least we could do it in one day that at least it has the media attention and the communication wave that allows people to focus a little bit of attention in this hyper abundance of inputs that we receive every day, and everybody trying to hijack our attention. At least this day is a day in which people look at peace and think, well, this seems to be important. Now, the question is, how can we practically use it, right? And because we have the attention now, we need to advocate for specific policies. We need to advocate for specific actions from organizations. We had now some organizations here, some companies, and we can definitely collaborate with companies much more. And we can ask individuals from all over the world to act in a way that can generate peace. Now, peace comes from our individual psychology, and the first thing that we need to recognize is that there's the potential of violence in all of us. And we keep thinking that violence is something that everybody else does, but we don't. But the thing is, when there's problems, for example, in economic development, or when there's protests and they turn violent, the opportunity that humans find to create war is actually something that is always present, lurking behind. So recognizing our own flaws, recognizing the psychological development that we have to do, trying to improve our education model, and try to make sure that we advocate to all of us, all the people that we have around us, leading by example and knowing that every thought and every word that we say matters, and that we are actually leaders of others, and that if we are saying things that are creating divide between humans, if we're saying things that are violent or harmful somehow, or hateful somehow, we are actually creating a negative cycle. But if we do it the other way around and we practice more understanding, and we do this, for example, through intercultural connections, and when we bridge the cultures and we reach different ideologies, for example, you can help a lot. And there's just one piece of evidence I think is beautiful. I think you're going to like it. We're 60% less likely to hate a community if we have just one friend in that community. So if you have one Muslim friend, one Chinese friend, one Democrat friend, you're 60% less likely to hate it. So if we had more of those, our life would be much better. And so one of the things that we think is important, we're doing that in schools, is making sure that all kids get to know people from all cultures, all different countries, so they already know that there's other views, and they may not be better than the others, it's just different.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I remember really early on, intercultural cooperation, is the kind of key to humanity's survival.
Absolutely.
I remember reading that somewhere, and that is exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely, 100%.
Can I ask you, what's the greatest challenge that humanity faces in terms of our journey towards the manifestation of a more peaceful and sustainable world, do you think?
Well, I think there's an element of communication for sure. The moment that we break communication between leaders, between countries, between individuals, between societies, it becomes impossible to build peace. And one of the things that happens is when there's two countries that are having some tension, the more tension, the less communication. And what we need is actually to reverse that and make sure that the more problems we have, the more we go through the communication and the painful disagreements that we may have to try to find peaceful solutions. And you see that in your couple, for example. You may have problems, but if you don't have difficult conversations with your spouse, you're not going to be able to solve them, right? So communication is absolutely vital. Education is critical, and we don't teach our kids anything related to the self-awareness that is needed, the communication skills, the relational skills that are needed, the love for the other, the understanding, the empathy. There's lots of skills and lots of knowledge that is really important that all of our kids have, and they don't get that. Sometimes there's this peace day, and so you draw a beautiful pigeon, but you're not actually teaching them how to create peace around them. And so I would say we're lacking that kind of education. We're lacking the kind of leadership that is needed. And quite frankly, if you don't have the type of diplomacy that is needed, where we are mature enough to not just go with the fear of missing out, and when someone thinks that there's a country that is bad and the others are good, and so you just take sides. You think we're all part of the same thing. We all should act in a way like the United Nations. It's not who is my favorite player in this ecosystem, is that we all have to agree, we all have to find a way to live with each other. And so diplomacy that is mature enough to go over our difficulties and our differences and try to reach agreements and treaties and try to collaborate instead of just looking for new excuses to create more tension. I think that's extremely important.
Amazing. Wonderful. Thank you. Can you tell me, you know a lot about AI. What role is it going to play in relation to our destruction? But I guess more importantly, what role will it play in relation to our survival?
Well, I think that's a beautiful way to put it, especially because it is a multiplier for good and evil. And a lot of people don't really see it as that, because either you're advocating for it because you have some interest vested there, so you want to say that it's all good, or you're a doomer and you say that it's all bad. I would say, first of all, that it is an augmenter of the human capacities. So what it does is it helps anyone to achieve their goals better, faster. And what that means is that if you're using it for good, you're preventing wars, you're preventing fire, you're helping to deliver critical drugs or food in places that are needed, you're actually helping to prevent sexual exploitation and many other things that you can do thanks to AI, predictive analysis, pattern recognition, and other things that AI can do. The problem is, at the same time, you have criminals, terrorists, criminal organizations of all kinds that are using it as well to achieve their goals. So what's happening is that the good guys are now more able to do more, better, and faster, but at the same time, the ones that are, for example, in authoritarian regimes that may want to control their populations are going to have better tools for that. Same way, whenever you're facing a war between two countries, both sides are going to be using it. And the bottom line of this is the following. I think, A, we need to understand the risks that it has, and it has huge risks. You are just creating an opportunity for hundreds of millions of people to be able to create cyber attacks without technical knowledge. So that thing is possible now because you can code without knowing how to code. So that's a huge negative downside. But at the same time, everybody that's trying to look for solutions, and there's millions, and you know this movement better than anyone, everybody that has ever been engaged in the SDGs, for example, they have now superpowers. So my understanding of this is that it's going to be much more positive than negative, and it's going to be playing much more a role in our savior than in our destruction, because there's way more people that are actually trying to make things better, but we need to understand very well what are the risks associated to this technology. We need to understand exactly how these criminal actors or bad actors are going to use it against us. And if we are smarter than them, then we're definitely going to have a net positive effect. And just a couple of examples. AI is helping with healthcare so much that longevity escape velocity may be here. And that means that every year that passes, the life expectancy is greater for more than 1 year. So what that means is that we are potentially going to lead to 100 years of life expectancy in average very soon, fighting any number of diseases. We're going to be able to redistribute resources to help poor people, and there's an expectation of more than $10 trillion of GDP expansion. So there's a lot of good. We need to be very, very careful with augmented capacities of our criminal or our enemies.
So you and I could be talking about peace and sustainability for a long time then.
I think so.
I think so. Well, I look forward to that. And hopefully we can achieve our goals as fast as possible.
Absolutely.
Tell me, how can people watching support the work of World Innovation Alliance, and where do people find out more information?
Well, thank you for that. On the one side, there's this idea that we have that education is potentially one of the biggest tools that we have to make the world better in a very practical way. So we're doing this Skills for Growth initiative, and what we want is to train as many people as we possibly can all over the world. And if anyone is, for example, in charge of a region, if it's a government, or if they have communities that need upskilling, or they can gather schools, universities, whoever has access to people that need upskilling, we want to talk to them, because we would love to be able to provide the upskilling that is needed. So that's one part. The other part is that we're going to be working on a project that we really want to collaborate with, which is the ImproveX Summit. We're going to bring together multiple sectors, leaders of a lot of different industries, to work on what are the best ways to collaborate practically to implement solutions. And that is another of the ways that we want to engage with large organizations, because many times these sectors are very disconnected between each other, and we want to use the power of the different sectors with multi-stakeholder collaboration. And so the way to collaborate with us is actually, we have our website, is wia.world.
So what is it?
wia.world, so World Innovation Alliance. And then they can reach me on CEO@wia.world. But again, the most important thing is always, if you have solutions or if you have problems, we need to know both, because we need to collaborate. And the input of different types of people and different roles and different departments and different sectors is going to be critical for this.
Wow, absolutely amazing. So I hope people get in touch with you, Carlos.
That'd
be a wonderful opportunity for them. Listen, we've got 20 seconds. What does peace mean to you?
Peace means to create the future that we need by actually protecting life. And the problem is that the worst of human behaviors is violence, and it's actually somehow embedded in our survival instincts. So what we need to do is we need to protect life by taking care of each other, by taking care of ourselves. And I think that the communication and kind of relations that we can create are the base for peace.
Carlos, it's amazing. You know what? You know how pleased I am to meet you in person, man. Really, the very best of luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much.